Hi, I'm Rick Jenkins and I'm the publisher at GSA Business Report, and welcome to another episode of Coffee With. And today we're having coffee with Dan Joyner. Danny, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
I appreciate you coming by. Danny, I want to make sure I get this right now. Danny is the president and CEO and founder of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, Dan Joyner REALTORs.
I wasn't the founder.
You weren't? Oh, that's right. That's right. Your father, of course,
Correct.
was the founder.
Correct.
But you're the owner.
That's right.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
And I'm glad we mentioned your father, because I want to start right there. Now, your father was Dan Joyner.
Right.
What's the C stand for?
Carey, C-A-R-E-Y.
Your father started the company in 1964?
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's right.
Now, your father, and most people who are watching this, I think, will know this, but Dan, did everybody call him Dan?
Pretty much, yeah.
Dan was a business person of some significance in the Upstate for many, many years. Your father was on many boards. Now, check me if I'm right here, but he was on the board of GHS board for a while before they became Prisma. He was on the Greenville Chamber board for quite some time. As a matter of fact, he might have even been the president of the board.
He was.
And let's see, he was on the Greenville Convention Center and Visitors Bureau board.
That's right.
And the Peace Center. And we could go on and on.
We could, really.
About your dad, right?
Right.
But one thing that struck me when I was reading about your dad was he received, and this was, 25 years ago, he received an award from the governor at the time, which was bestowed with the Palmetto Award.
Right, the Order of the Palmetto.
The Order of the Palmetto, thank you. And tell me about that award. That's the highest civilian honor someone can receive?
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct, yeah. Well, David Beasley was the governor at the time,
Okay.
and awarded him that just based on, his influence and the things that he did within the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, Dan started the thing, and you probably were born into it. Right?
I was born into it. He started it 3 years before I was born.
So quite literally,
right.
You were born into it.
Right.
So it has been a part of your upbringing.
Yes.
So your entire life.
Absolutely. I've been a part of the company when I was in high school. I worked in the summers mowing lawns and painting houses for homes that we managed through our property management company. And I was really, really bad at it. There's no telling how many times he had to pay somebody to come back in and repaint it after I painted it.
Right, I bet.
I'm getting it all over the hardwoods and everything else. So, and then I, through college, went and got my license. Got my broker's license in 1987, and then went straight to work out of college with my dad in our property management division. He always said, if you're going to be in the business, I want you to learn the whole business. And so I worked through and did property management. I did appraisals. I did insurance for a bit, residential sales, and then the longest stint of my career was on the commercial side.
So there was never any doubt about what Danny was going to do.
No. I've always loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for taking a minute to talk
I'm happy to be here,
about your dad.
I like to reminisce about him. I miss him a bunch. Yeah.
I bet you do. Now let's talk about this company that just continues to grow. Tell me if I'm right here. 450 realtors, approximately, give or take a little. 10 offices in the Upstate.
Right.
$1 billion in sales last year. I want to say that again, $1 billion in sales. And if you compare that to the number two, and we're talking residential, right? Compare that to the number two residential company, you outpace them tremendously. So you've had quite a bit of success.
We are very fortunate. We have some really great people that work for us, and they work hard. They produce at a high level, but they operate under Dan's mantra, which was honesty, integrity, loyalty, living the golden rule.
That's right.
So we've been really, really fortunate to have a great group to work for us.
I was talking to you at your office several months back, and I remember we had a conversation about how large the company had become and how, of course, successful it had become. And we had a conversation about how important it was to you that despite the growth of the company, you wanted to ensure that it continued to have a family feel, a hometown feel, How do you accomplish that when you get that big?
You know, you have to have good leadership. Each office kind of takes on its own personality, but I think that our leadership team, you know, I know they understand exactly where we feel, you know, obligated to carry that family feel and family tradition on that my dad founded, you know, 55 years ago.
Right.
And so they do a great job, and you know, we try to have company events as often as possible to kind of get together. And you know, we have, instead of a Christmas cocktail party, we have a family event. We're having that this Sunday at the zoo, so you can celebrate the whole family instead of just the agents and who you work with.
Right.
So that's real important to us.
Oh, of course. Sounds great. Danny, I know that at one point the company was Prudential affiliated.
Right.
And now you guys are with Berkshire.
Right.
And I can't recall when that switch occurred, but it's been several years, right?
So back at the end of 2011, we got a call saying that Prudential had sold their real estate interest to a company called Brookfield out of Canada. They're a high volume relocation company, a lot of government business and things like that. And so HomeServices of America, which is owned by Berkshire Hathaway, went to Brookfield and said, hey, look, we're the pros of residential real estate.
Right.
Let's form a joint venture. Let us be the majority partner. And if you'll do that, we'll run the residential side. You can handle the relocation. And we can use the Berkshire Hathaway name as our brand. And so we're pretty excited about that.
So you were excited. How now that you've done that for a while, what's that switch feel like to you? How is it being a Berkshire affiliated company comparatively?
I think the biggest thing, you know, every brand has their own technology, their own.
Sure.
Everybody is playing with the same tools. The thing that's refreshing to me is the guys who are involved in HomeServices of America and Berkshire Hathaway are guys who cut their teeth in the business back in the 70s. They were selling houses, and they've made it through recessions, and they've seen, you know, interest rates at 17, 18%, and so they understand the business. Prudential was more of a rounding error, to be quite honest with you. It's a financial company, not a real estate company.
I hear you. Well, that makes perfect sense, but you just mentioned interest rates. Let's talk interest rates. Still low.
Very.
Right? It's got to end sometime though, Danny, right?
Yeah.
When's it going to end? What's your crystal ball say?
You know, I don't know when it's going to end. I mean, this, you know, the economy seems to be on pretty good footing. Who knows what's going to happen politically? You never know with all the cast of characters that we have in Washington. But my personal feeling is we've been spoiled so long with these historically low rates. It might not be a bad thing if we had a little bump, because I think there are people out there that don't feel the urgency to close a deal or buy a home and that kind of thing. And that, coupled with the inventory being very low, it's hard to choose from, you know.
Commercial real estate. We talk, you're number one in residential by a mile. Commercial, you're number 6. Tell me about that. Tell me, what % of your business is commercial, and do you see yourself going further in that direction, or are you all a residential company and that's what you're going to do?
No, we'll always have a commercial division. Matt Carter is our broker in charge over there, does a great job, and he's working to grow it. I mean, it's a company that started with a couple of agents back, you know, in the early 90s, and it's grown. There's about 30 agents with us now. And we've just expanded more into the property management, the commercial property management side. So yeah, I see bright things for it, especially as the area continues. You know, at some point, a market's only big enough for a certain number of brokers. Right. You know, and you know, our market is growing so fast that I think there's a need and a demand for more qualified and professional brokers out there.
Danny, you know, I've saved one of the best things for last. You recently won a couple of awards that are pretty impressive, and I'm going to let you tell the specifics about it, but one of them was for workplace satisfaction. Now, these are statewide awards, right? One of them was for workplace satisfaction, and the other was for training and development.
That's right.
You were first in the state?
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, there's a company called Workplace Dynamics that sends out surveys to your employees, in our case, our employees and our agents. And it's across all industries, including banking and medical, you know, you name it.
Right.
And based on the feedback they get from the survey, they rank you in a position in the state. And in the state of South Carolina, for large businesses, we were number 2 in the state for workplace satisfaction, and we were ranked #1 in the state for training and development.
Right.
So that's something I'm really proud of.
As well you should be.
Yeah.
Quite impressive. Okay, Danny. Most important question, and we ask everybody this. South Carolina or Clemson?
Do you know how many top producers I have that are Clemson Tigers?
You probably don't like
I
that.
am a Gamecock.
Well, yeah, you're a Gamecock.
Yeah, I'm a Gamecock. I'm a Furman Paladin and a Gamecock.
That's right.
But you know, we actually have a really good time at the office because we have so many Gamecocks and so many Clemson Tigers. There's always, you know, somebody's happy for 5 years in a row and the next team's happy for 5 years in a row. So
that's right.
I hope this is the last of the 5th year for the game. It's been hard to be a Gamecock lately.
I understand that. All right, folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of Coffee with. Danny, I appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Rick. I've enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it too. Thank you. See you next time.